All right, so we'll go ahead and call to order the Columbia 911 Communications District Board of Directors meeting here on August 22nd, 2024 at 9 a.m. Board members present, Shelley Hennessy, Henry Mueller, Jeff Black, Rob Anderson, and Bruce Woolsey is excused. For staff?
For staff, it's Mike Fletcher, Mickey Nichols, Mary Jo Beck, Merks Levine, and Nathan Hughes. Danelle is working the council this morning.
All right, see, is there any public comments? Pausing, hearing no one's present in the building and not seeing anybody popping up online, we will move on to additions to the agenda. Any changes?
No.
Hearing none. Regular previous meeting minutes. Entertainment.
I move approval of both the July 25th regular meeting minutes and the August 14th, 2024 special meeting minutes as presented.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to approve both the July 25th regular meeting minutes and the August 14th special meeting minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Financial reports.
So this is our first month of our new year that I'm reporting on, July. Our benchmark is at 91.67 and we are currently at 96.2 in our general fund. Before you'll see a couple of resolutions to close the money market account and move that money to our general fund checking account, and the other one for our two petty cash accounts to close those. We have no need for them. Did anyone have any questions on looking at the financial reports that I could answer?
Hearing none, is there a motion?
Move that we approve the financial reports as presented.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the financial reports as presented. And for clarification, that is both the budget and expenditures. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next one, we have resolution 24-07 in the matter of authorizing the closure of Columbia 911 Communications District's money market account with U.S. Bank.
Can you explain a little bit about the history of that account and what's in there and why we don't need it any longer?
I can tell you it was opened a very long time ago, and the bank has no copies of opening documents. So I couldn't find a resolution at the bank, and I couldn't find a resolution in our resolutions that stated any reason why that account was opened. And currently our interest rate is a lot lower than what we're paying out for the monthly fees. So we're losing like $2 a month every month and have been. And I don't know why we have that account, so I would like to close it. So I'm asking.
And the amount of money that's in there?
Just under 60,000.
And it's been stagnant
Yep.
we don't use it. It just
Okay.
sits there. And there's no history of why the account was even opened, but
I would rather have that $60,000 in our LGIP earning us money than losing money in an account.
Definitely. I move we approve resolution 2407.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2407. Are there any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. Next will be resolution 24-08 in the matter of authorizing the closure of Columbia 911 Communication District's 2 internal petty cash accounts. Mickey, if you can.
So Mary Jo had a smaller one. I don't remember the amount of
25.
yours, and mine was a little larger that Nancy had established. And we would occasionally, if somebody needed to run to Walmart to pick up something that was necessary, would they do it out of petty cash? I like to steer away from even having cash on the property. If we can, we haven't used it whatsoever. I mean, I think we used it once or twice in the year and a half I've been here. There's no real need, especially now that everybody's has their own credit card. We don't need to deal with cash, so I'd like to close both of them. The total is under $200.
And that's all in-house. It has
Yes.
nothing to do with the bank.
No banks, no anything, but it's reportable funds that I have to account for, reconcile, and turn in, show to the auditor. So it's
And
a
I
lot
know
of
they
work.
were
for nothing.
approved over years by the board to have these petty cash accounts.
Yeah, and I believe that they had a great purpose in their time. They're just not necessary anymore.
In addition, Mike?
Nope, that sums it up well.
Move we approve resolution 2408.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded to approve resolution 24-08. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mickey.
Yes.
All right, brings us on to operations manager report.
Daniel's out working on the floor. Her report is in your packet if you have any questions. Highlights are, we did have 2 staff members resign. One went to work at another center. It's not a 911 center. And then the second person went to Clatsop. They're moving. Hiring night update, interviews are complete. We have 6 people in background phase. The hiring process, their testing is all done. Continue always to leave lateral hiring open. The 3 people we have in training are doing very well. We had a lateral, it's what we call a soft lateral. But she has progressed right through. She's in skill build, should be done very soon. And the other 2 new recruits should be done within the next month and a half or so. Reminder for the board, we have our annual August staff barbecue and awards presentation. That's Saturday, starts at 3 p.m. And just an extra shout out to the folks working the floors and helping out with getting ready for the barbecue and helping with the awards. So really appreciate it.
So that barbecue gonna be right here.
Here, yeah.
Any questions about the report? People manager report.
We're still working on the admin phone upgrade. Since writing the board report, we've had another pushback due to hardware shortages. So we're looking about mid-September now. Dispatch, we replaced all the broken down chairs with newer chairs with a really good warranty. So those should last for many, many years. CAD, we've begun replacing the CAD workstations with newer ones. We were one of the last agencies to do it, but we've gone from a giant tower to a little small form factor PC. HVAC, the new BARD units at Cloudscan have been installed. Everything went smoothly. Go kits, we're working with some of the other people in Magix to build Go kits for us. So that would include phone, radio, and CAD. Vesta, we're working with them to continue setting up command posts, which will allow us to take calls remotely if there's any kind of emergency situation where we have to evacuate.
Yeah. Any questions? Moving on to old business.
We start off with the radio system. The Meisner site. In your packet, we have, I'm seeking authorization to sign a co-location agreement with Columbia River PUD. Both attorneys, Mr. Peterkin and the PUD attorney worked through the language of the co-location agreement. They've approved it. In fact, they've already signed their side. And I'm seeking board's approval for me to sign that co-location agreement. The other tenants up there, which are mostly amateur radio, and then there's Hood to Coast. We're still working with them because they are not in unison with each other. There's a divergent path there that some folks have a different desire than the other half of their group. So that's an internal issue with them, working with ODF on trying to corral the cats. Other than that, our side of the project is really done. We're just trying to get that group into a cohesive, unified message of what they want to do. So I'm going to pause there just to make sure that I receive authorization to sign that co-location agreement.
Your motion.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the sign, having Mike sign the co-location agreement with Columbia River PUD.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to approve the co-location license agreement for the Meisner site as presented. Is there any discussion?
So I see Rainier School District and Columbia County, and then where are we at with those folks?
Rainier is no longer there, so that's part of the issue that needs to be removed from there, but it's really the amateur radio group, and Hood to Coast is the sticking point. So as we collect those folks, I'll be coming back to you with authorization to sign those agreements.
Does Hood to Coast have a permanent presence on that tower, or?
On one of the telephone poles, they do. Yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Continuing on.
Thank you. Continuing on, the Next Gen Radio project, finished up with federal engineering on clarifying questions and items that need to be addressed with Motorola. That meeting will take place next week on the 30th. And that really talks about the radio system. Part of that conversation was what Nathan covered with one of the sites for HVAC. We signed off on the Coastline Public Affairs contract. They're helping us with messaging and newsletter development, et cetera. That's going well. We have bi-weekly meetings. That concludes my portion of old business.
Is there any other old business? Hearing none, moving on to new business, the November 2024 election.
We submitted a ballot title, question, and summary to the county. It's in its review period. So there's not much there to report. We're waiting for the clerk to close that.
We have the voting zone committee.
There's a recommendation from Mr. Peterkin that the board form a boundary review committee. And I don't know if Mr. Peterkin wants to elaborate on that.
Good morning, members of the board. My recommendation is to appoint a committee of individuals that the board so chooses to review the current voting zones within the district and to come back and make a recommendation to the full board on any suggested rezoning. And that is under ORS 403 375. Now, part of the challenge there is determining the population of each zone. I think we've talked about that in the past. But the committee can go ahead and investigate that, get the information, and start exploring what, if any, zone adjustment is needed based on the terms of ORS 403 375.
I think everyone's writing down some notes right now. Any questions from Mr. Peterkin from anyone?
This is all data that should be able to be achieved right at our own courthouse, correct?
Yes, yes, Henry, I think you can get the clerk to help, but they have, as I remember, the clerk has voter registration. I'm not sure if they have population separated by our internal zones, but I also need to refresh my recollection that I thought there was another source, and I'll have to go back and look, where we could better determine what the internal population of each zone would be.
Well, we should be able to get that from census tract information as well, I would think, right?
Well, except that the census records don't they don't have in-depth reports for cities with a certain population. So if the population base is, I forget exactly the number, but less than 5,000, they're not going to give us that information. So we have to look elsewhere. And I can help the committee and point them in the right direction to gather up the right information. And then the board has to make a determination of any balancing, and I'm going to quote the statute, as is feasible according to the last federal census. And so I think it's a two-step process. Let's find out the facts, and then the committee can make any sort of subjective recommendations for the board's consideration.
Seems like with the information that's out there and somebody with the right template, we should be able to lay that on top of each other somehow, but.
And I agree with you, Henry. I think that's right. And the 403 375 talks about population, not registered voters. And so we can't just rely on registered voters when the review of boundary zones is made.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, that's previously been identified as one of the major issues. It's supposed to be based off population, but voter rolls don't reflect the entire population. And the idea is informing the committee will hopefully speed up the process rather than us coming out rehashing little bits of it each month.
A good idea.
So once we get that information, then what's the goal as far as the population and adjustment, which, is we want it to be Just equal in each zone, or we want, what's?
That's the goal. But the state statute says one thing, but reality of our county is something else. So
So Jeff, let me address that because it's a great question. And again, I always like to refer to what the words of the statute say. And here's what it says. The board shall adjust zones established within a district as necessary to make them as nearly equal in population as is feasible. So what that means from a legal perspective is the board has discretion and they have to balance what is feasible against population, how would a zone adjustment occur? And so there's, in Shelley's zone, are they going, if they have to add population to that zone, how is that going to work from a geographical consideration? Is it feasible? Do you take a part of St. Helens current zone and put it someplace else? I mean, these are all things that the committee needs to look at carefully. We have, a lot of different modeling of the zones and how the zones overlay the actual cities and improvements and roads in the county. And so, yeah, it's going to be an interesting review.
And then the next question is, how many people are we thinking we want on this?
It's
two,
at least two board members, otherwise there's a quorum. So to be able to meet easily, two board members like any other committee.
yeah, and I would be there, and we're gonna try and get the county involved as well, because they're actually control this.
And you even could consider a public, member as well. I mean, the board has complete discretion to appoint who they want on the committee to make it workable, and to have good input and to get a good recommendation back to the full board.
Hearing that right now, are there any volunteers for the committee?
Do we have to take official action to create this committee, or can it be ad hoc from the chair?
My thought was it's gonna be ad hoc on the chair under, approval of the board.
Yeah, I would serve on that committee.
You're interested?
I'll help out with that as well if you want me to, unless you want to do it.
I know you have a lot on your plate currently, so
I'll take that as you volunteering. Is that what I'm hearing? And
Okay.
I can help with running stuff through the county gamut as well.
would you be willing to serve as an alternate then?
Yes.
If needed, unless you had any extra show.
This is just not the right time of year for me to.
Perfect. Okay, so we will. I believe we are calling it the Boundary. I'm writing something committee,
Boundary zone.
Boundary Zone Committee, which will be Jeff Flack, Rob Anderson, with Henry being the alternate. Does the board give the committee discretion to add additional members as they seem fit?
I think that's good.
No objections to that? All righty. There's no more discussion on the committee. You already talked about the barbecue.
Yep.
Anything to add? Okay,
No, sir. 3 o'clock.
okay, 3 o'clock this Saturday. Which now brings us to executive session under ORS 192.660, subsection 2H. Consult with the legal counsel. And we'll enter executive session here at 09:25. All right.
Second.
There we go.
So the lobby's back open online. Recording is started. Okay, and we'll resume the regular session of the Board of Directors meeting here at 10:46 hours. Which brings us on the agenda to agenda items for September 26th. First of all, any conflicts for the date? Good. No. Straight agenda items. Other business. Is there any other business before the board? Hearing none, member comments. Robin, Shelley.
Just appreciate everything. I heard Danielle on the radio quite a bit lately, so appreciate all her extra work.
Pass.
Yeah, just appreciate all the staff. Looking forward to the barbecue. I'm gonna hopefully be able to make it, and that's a great thing to do, show support and appreciation.
Same here. Would like to thank the entire staff and the entire team for all the hard work that's being done on behalf of the district and us moving forward. And with that, hope to see everybody on Saturday. I'm going to try to be here. And we will go ahead and adjourn here at 10:47.